At Uber, we have heard your concerns. We have heard that we're not doing very well. We have heard you don't like being fired every week. We have heard you don't like your precious balloons being taken away. How about a new app? Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and well, here's the thing. There has been a little bit of a disconnect between Uber employees and Uber drivers. Drivers keep saying that we should not sympathize with Uber employees because, hey, you know what? They've got nice, cushy jobs. They get much better pay. They have stable pay. Their jobs are stable. We should not feel sad for them when they get laid off because you know what? We have had rate cut after rate cut after rate cut. We've lost our bonuses. We've lost everything. They can't relate to us. Why do we care if they got fired? Well, here's the interesting thing. Apparently, we now have more in common with Uber employees than we realize. As here's a headline for the Washington Post. Inside the new Uber, weak coffee, vanishing perks, and fast deflating morale. Well, geez, that sounds like the day and then everyday Uber driver's life, right? Weak coffee, vanishing perks, and fast deflating coffee. So this is going to get pretty ugly. Tech IPOs have long been viewed as a boon for Silicon Valley workers, ushering in a new era of corporate stability and stock-driven wealth. That's not been the case at Uber, where the stock price has fallen roughly 30% since going public in May, and employees say they've noticed cuts to amenities as basics as the brands of coffee available for brewing. Yeah, you know, it's interesting that they open with that. Like, yeah, that's how you open it. It's like, I can just see that being like the number one problem. Like, remember when we used to get the Folgers and the Starbucks in our cup in the morning, and now we get that crappy Kirkland stuff? I actually don't drink coffee, so I don't know if any of this is any good or not, but you know. Anyway, so Uber is changing as it shifts from a closely held unicorn startup to a publicly traded company that appears to be losing investors' confidence, according to interviews with current and former workers. Those changes include laying off more than 800 workers over the summer. Meanwhile, stock units are valued at a fraction of what many employees were led to believe, and executives are imposing workflow changes aimed at improving the company's efficiency, adjustments that strike some employees as stifling innovation. Well, yeah, here's the thing. Because, yeah, when you're allowed to do whatever you want, whenever you want, then, yeah, when it's like, hey, we have to kind of start pulling back a little bit, we're spending too much money, then, yeah, it looks a little bit more limiting. It was probably nice when Netflix was greenlighting every new series out there. Hey, you pitched a show, you got a show. And you'd run forever because Netflix was not the company to cancel shows before they were over, until at one point they realized they were heavily into debt and, hey, they needed to actually cut back a little bit. So, what's Uber doing? Well, Uber CEO Darkar Shah, he said, we need to ship more quickly and operate more effectively and efficiently than we are today. We are not doing this for Wall Street. Sure you're not, Dara. We are doing this for Uber. It's critical we get our edge back and continually push ourselves to do better. Yeah, you need to get your edge back and do better because you're not doing well on Wall Street. That's why you need to get your edge back. So anyway, we're gonna ignore that whole part because that's going over, you know, all the IPOs failing, all that stuff. But here's where it starts getting interesting again. Executives inside Uber have told employees they will devote fewer costly resources to user experience and research, including teams who worked on those issues, and conduct more direct testing of in-app features for riders and drivers. Quote, we will deliberately rely less on user research for tactical features and instead rely more on experimentation, Uber's chief of product Manik Gupta wrote to employees in an email the day of this month's layoffs. We will focus on fewer projects with more direct business impact. The new strategy surfaced at a product event in San Francisco on Thursday when Uber announced a redesign of its app. Yeah, by the way, they redesigned their app. Uber brings all of its services into a single app in new test. So here's what the app looks like. As you can see, it opens, you get a ride, you can order food. It's basically consolidating all of their different services into one. You know, I have to actually stop and chuckle for a moment because I feel so much like deja vu. I mean, I feel deja vu a lot when I do this show because Uber tends to make the same mistakes over and over again, and whenever Uber makes a mistake, Lyft follows shortly afterwards, typically. But I seem to remember a time when Uber drivers were losing, their pay was going down, they were getting deactivated unfairly, and perks were going away, and they were drinking bland coffee, although that was probably their choice. Uber doesn't actually provide coffee. And Uber did like a little press event, like, hey, we have heard you, we have been listening, we've delivered what you want, New app. It was like, yeah, no, we really don't want a new app. If we want a new app, we want a new app with a different company that will pay us better. And now, look at this. I mean, geez. Uber, the company itself, is firing people who probably don't deserve to be fired. They are losing their bonuses. And they're getting stuck with weak coffee. And what's Uber's response? Hey, we're going to streamline the app. Here's a new app. Just, wow. Oh, by the way, also the reward scheme will be expanding, and it will now give members various options on how they want to use their rewards. Previously, users would get $5 in Uber Cash once they hit a certain threshold of points. Now they have various options, including percentages of rides and food delivery. So, yeah, I guess there's that. Let's come back over here. From my standpoint, the important thing is that we're all focusing on execution. Gupta said in the interview, what people who are really motivated, what they really want, is the problems to work on, which are very exciting. They are world-changing. I think we have a lot of them, and we just have to make sure that we continue to build incredible products. I think people want to get paid, and I think they want to have their job. And yeah, they want products that work too. But I think, first of all, they'd rather get paid. So I don't know why they thought a new app design was going to be of any condolences to the hundreds of Uber employees who found themselves out of work and with stock options that were far less than what they thought they were going to be. So here's the thing. Workers have paid close attention to the scrutiny of the company has attracted in the months since its IPO. They've grown agitated as top-down changes have been imposed that they saw as stripping away their autonomy, and they become vocal at increasingly contentious all-hands meetings where the tensions between workers and management have manifested. For example, Jill Hasselbaker, Uber's Senior Vice President of Marketing and Public Affairs, was asked at a team meeting this month about a new book focused on the company as Uber struggled with a broader reputational crisis. Oh, new book. That wouldn't happen to be this book right here. Let me open it up. It wouldn't happen to be Super Pumped, would it? You can't really see that. Let's go here. Let's go to the cover. Like, yeah, it wouldn't happen to be that book, would it? The one that all you Uber drivers out there should be reading. I don't know if you can see that because of the cropped image. But yeah, if you haven't gotten that book, I highly, highly recommend that book. I think we need to put our heads down and execute, she said, according to experts of her comments provided to Washington Post. I just say we've got to get a bit thicker skin about this stuff. Well, yeah, you have to, because people don't like you. It's actually kind of common knowledge at this point, so you need to get thicker skin. The mantra doubled perhaps as the guiding light of the Uber of now. Uber declined to make Karashai or Hasselbaker available for comment. Well, yeah, of course not, because why on earth would they want to... Did somebody send me a text? I don't know. They don't want to make them available for comments for stories like this. Inside, the company executives became consumed with a reputation which hadn't improved since the Delete Uber scandal and focused on telling a new story. At the same all-hands meeting this month, Karashai was presented on whether the job cuts were over. And he said, I have asked every single executive team member to take a look at their particular team and their particular structures. I do think that the worst is behind us. But that's not a no. It's not a no. That's just the worst is behind us. That way, when they lay off another 200 people, it's like, well, it's not 400. So yeah, the worst was technically behind us. So, and there's a hiring freeze, of course. And they declined to say whether there were more layoffs coming, of course. Meanwhile, those who were no longer with the company who joined thinking they'd accumulated a nest egg in stock options are left with the downsides of a floundering IPO. The former employees who received restricted stock options upon joining said those close to them are now saying they should sell. I'd probably, look, this is not financial advice, it were me. I'd probably sell most of it. I would probably hold on to some just in case it took off, but yeah, I'd probably start getting rid of it, to be honest. The former employees had been hoping to pay off a house. Now that person says they will be lucky to buy a bike or two. It's a common pattern for tech startups to slump as they enter maturity, says Mike Maples Jr., founding partner of ventures capital firm Floodgate Fund, as they invest an early investor in Lyft. The early employees want to change the rules and be aggressive and make things happen. The latter employees may be attracted more to the security of the job and more the conventional trappings of having a job. That's going to obviously slow down a company's willingness to take risks and do new things. So yeah, Uber definitely not doing very well. I mean, we've been saying that for a while, but yeah, Uber is starting to pinch pennies. It's like we talked about that story fairly recently where Uber sent out a memo that they were no longer going to be spending $200,000 in balloons, and they were going to replace them with stickers instead to mark anniversary achievements and stuff like that. And, you know, there's two thoughts. Like, first of all, wow, you're spending $200,000 on balloons. You guys are out of control. And then the second thing is you just lost $5.2 billion. I think balloons are the least of your concerns. So, but Uber's going to try to spin this as much as a positive as they can. The next quarter is going to come around, and they're going to lose another $2 billion, at least, I think. And they're going to show it as a good thing. Like, look, we lost $3 billion less than we did last quarter, so see, we're doing better. And some Wall Street analysts might even believe it. But make no mistakes, this isn't sustainable. I think the clock is ticking. Uber is not going to be the Uber we know today in a year or two. It's going to change. It's already changing. And the only question is, how bad will it get before they either shutter or they put themselves up for sale? I don't know, but I will ask you the question, what do you think about all of this? And by the way, do you think a new app makes any of this better? Would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices get inches a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, check out my other YouTube channels, Kevin T. Rodriguez, the Apptrepreneur Vlogs, and Autograph Hound. And finally, if you want to talk to me and other fellow rideshare drivers, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.